Janai Nelson is the President and Director-Counsel of the Legal Defense Fund, and some of you may know it as the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, where she serves as the primary institutional thought leader and directs programmatic strategy for racial justice and equality. She's a renowned scholar and veteran litigator. She's played a pivotal role in numerous landmark cases, including arguing the Louisiana v. Gala case in front of the Supreme Court earlier this year. Now, I will tell you that one of the best parts of my job are really getting to know and to meet these other leaders, our peers and colleagues. And I have to tell you, Maya Wiley, incredible. We had the privilege of serving with her on the Leadership Conference Board. Brian Fair, who's with us today, another exceptional leader that always shows up. But Janai Nelson is extremely, extremely special. What she does at LDF is critically important, and we as a Latino community need to think more broadly about our coalition strategy and our approach. There is nothing that separates or differentiates really between our black and brown politics. We are one and the same. We have the same plight. We suffer from the same socioeconomic issues like healthcare disparities, home ownership, Latino net worth, and education. And I am proud, so proud, to be able to call Janai a dear friend, a colleague, and a partner. And we will continue to expand our work with Janai, support her in the Louisiana v. Gala case, which we expect to come down pretty soon, and it will potentially have devastating consequences for our communities, black and brown. And so with that, we'll cue up a video for Janai Nelson.
Good evening, buenas noches. I'm Janai Nelson, the President and Director-Counsel of the Legal Defense Fund, which was founded over 85 years ago under the leadership of Thurgood Marshall. While I cannot be there with you tonight due to recent weather events here in New York, I am absolutely there with you in spirit and in celebration of LULAC's 97-year legacy of fighting and advocating to protect and advance the civil rights of Latinos in the United States. I want to congratulate tonight's many honorees, all of whom embody the spirit of unity that we are celebrating this evening. And I know there are many in the audience who I am most grateful for your continued partnership, your leadership, and your tenacity in the face of some of the most egregious threats to civil rights that we have experienced in our lifetimes. During Justice Marshall's last public address in 1992, he urged the audience to foster the very unity and coalition building that I know is on full display tonight. He said, "The legal system can force open doors and sometimes even knock down walls, but it cannot build bridges. That job belongs to you and me." So on behalf of the Legal Defense Fund, I want to express my sincere gratitude for President Roman Palomares, Chief Executive Officer Juan Proaño, the LULAC Board of Directors, and the entire LULAC community for working with LDF, not only to force open doors and knock down walls, but to build bridges between the communities we serve. Individually, our organizations have made tremendous strides, but collectively, we have helped to transform this nation. To borrow from the oft-used phrase, our unity has been our strength, and it has also been our superpower. When a California LULAC council successfully challenged the legality of Orange County's segregated public school system, Thurgood Marshall and LDF filed an amicus brief in the case, and that victory helped lay the foundation for Brown versus Board of Education, which deemed racial segregation in all public schools unconstitutional and led the way to desegregating all public facilities in our country. Since the Voting Rights Act of 1965 became the law of the land, LDF has been involved in nearly all of the precedent-setting litigation related to Black political power, and LULAC has been one of our strongest partners in that fight, strengthening and building Latino political power. Our work has helped ensure fairness in housing, brought new levels of economic stability and environmental justice, made it so generations of children and families could have full and equal access to the American dream. Our collective work has pushed the United States of America, often against its will, to be better, to do better, to fulfill the promises enshrined in our founding documents that we are celebrating in the 250th year of their commemoration. And right now, the future of our multiracial democracy depends on our ability to continue the long march our forebears started nearly a century ago. This has been nothing short of alarming for all of us this year, but especially for Black and Latino communities. Norms have been upended and rights have been trampled. Cruelty has been dressed up as policy. Militarized federal forces have treated our neighbors and friends and loved ones as if they are undeserving of both due process and basic levels of decency and respect, as if their lives matter less or not at all because of the color of their skin, the way they speak, the types of jobs they do, or where they were born. Yet, our voices, our coalitions, and our sense of community have been a critical antidote to that furor. We have not strayed from our collective mission to ensure that the hard-fought gains won in courtrooms and in community will be strengthened for the next generation, not struck down or stripped of their might. Even amid this Trump-induced chaos and calamity, our unity has been unwavering. It is unbowed and it is unbroken. That is why we have forcefully pushed back on attempts to impose onerous proof of citizenship requirements on eligible voters, which could disenfranchise over 20 million Americans. That is why we were proud to raise our voices in support of LULAC's lawsuit to stop Texas's racially discriminatory map from going into effect before the 2026 elections. And it's why we will continue doing all we can to ensure voters are empowered and educated and prepared as those elections draw nearer. We will keep working alongside you to challenge attempts to limit access to the political process, just as we did in LULAC versus Clemens, in LULAC versus Maddox, in LULAC and Houston Lawyers Association versus the Attorney General of Texas, and Northwest Austin Municipal Authority versus Gonzalez. And we all know the SAVE Act isn't about saving our elections. The MEGA Act will not make elections great again. They never were for Black and Latino communities. Rather, those bills are blatant attempts to silence the voices of the people, to keep Black voters, Latino voters, and other voters of color from having a full say in who governs us and how they use that power. And together, we will push back. We will not be silenced. We will raise our voices and be heard in every state, in every district, and in every election. And we will never sit on the sidelines in the face of attacks on the principles of diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. When immigrants and refugees are demonized or discarded, the future of our multiracial democracy rests on our ability to ensure that every barrier to our full participation in the political process is dismantled. Our multi-ethnic future depends on our present-day efforts to clear pathways to educational and economic opportunities for all. And the strength of our multilingual tomorrow will be determined by our dedication to preserving and protecting the rights and the dignity of our most vulnerable neighbors, including immigrants and refugees. We cannot stop fighting, not until a voter registration card is easier to obtain than a rifle. We cannot stop fighting until our zip codes no longer determine our destinies, until speaking Spanish or having an accent doesn't lead to a masked federal officer asking for your papers, until we can live without fear of that same officer deciding to act as judge, jury, and executioner on a neighborhood sidewalk, until love outweighs hatred and unity upends division. Our unity is the most powerful tool we have to build the future we want for ourselves and the generations that will follow us. And it is our unity, which doesn't mean uniformity, but it's our unity that must be unwavering. It must be unbowed and it must remain unbroken, because together we go further in our fight for durable justice. Thank you and have a wonderful rest of the evening.